and welcome back to Paper, Paint and Palette Inspirational Online Art Studio. Masha Hammerling here. We are continuing our series God of Second Chances, and today I will be showing you few different things that we can do with supplies that we have around our house, and sometimes we just throw them away without even knowing that we can reuse them and give our students and our children for some art projects. Today I will have very unique art lesson, art tutorial that will take a really short time, and we can end up having this stunning art project. All around me are the objects that we have in our house that we can reuse in our art lessons. And today's lesson will be based on Luke chapter 14 from the verse 28, when Jesus talks to the crowd and tells them different stories using parables. So let's listen. A parable is about one man who started building a tower. Luke chapter 14 verse 28. Suppose one of you want to build a tower. Will he not first sit down and estimate the cost to see if he has enough money to complete it? For if he lays the foundation and is not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule him, saying, "This fellow began to build and was not able to finish." I think it's really kind of funny story. I can see in my head like a little cartoon going on about that little silly man who did not thought about the cost of his tower. He did not calculate. He wasn't thinking ahead of a time and making plans about what he going to do if he will use a lot of money in the beginning. Maybe he had no money, and maybe he should have not even started to build that tower. But Jesus in this little parable tells us that we need to be wise, and this is very practical lesson. This is a very useful tip that he gives us, and we can apply this tip for anything in our life. When we start a family, when we buying a house, when we invest our money in some big projects, when we start art lessons, and sometimes supplies, as you know very well, can cost so much money that we cannot finish those art projects. And today I will show you how we can, with a really little investment, can create a wonderful art projects and bless somebody else in our life. So for example, as you can see around me, I have different objects that we sometimes throw away without thinking that we can give them second chance. And for example, this container can be used to store some items in your classroom, or can hold something and prop something up if you create still life project. You're very familiar with those little plastic baskets that holding different berries and fruit and vegetables, but you can easily reuse them. You can keep different cotton balls, or also different supplies that are bigger than the holes in this basket, and can also be used to prop a project that's being sealed or being prepped for art. For example, as you remember from my previous art lesson, when I was sealing with the Mod Podge, and I used Mod Podge also on the edges of this project, it was very hard to just put it back on the table because Mod Podge was kind of leaking down. So what I did, I put the baskets like this on the table, and I put this project right on top of those baskets, and they were safely removing the project from the table surface, and my project didn't get stuck to the table surface as it was drying, and it's really was very useful tool. When you buy supplies for school for your students or your children, you end up having a lot of inserts like this in their binders, in side of their folders, in many different supplies for your house. Take it out of the package. Look on the back of that insert and see if other side is shiny or glossy. And if it is, then this paper can be used as a paint palette. For example, it can be used for tempera paint, for the acrylic paint, and especially for the watercolor paint. Next, I would like to show you those little containers from frozen dinners, microwavable dinners, that you can also utilize in your art room. They can be paint palettes. They can be containers that hold some tools, art supplies like crayons and markers and erasers. Those that have divider in the middle. I even sometimes use one part, the small part, as a water cup and another part for my paint palette. In one local store, my daughter likes to buy little pies, and they come in those little tin containers, and those I found are very useful for painting, or if you do a wash. If your students are using oil pastels, you can put baby oil inside of those tin containers, and as kids dipping their Q-tips inside of the baby oil that sits inside of those containers, it's safe, it's all there. You don't need a big container to put a ton of the baby oil. Just few drops will do to create a wonderful effect. You've seen a lot of these paper bags being used in grocery stores, and when you bring groceries home from the store, don't throw them away. You can reuse them for different sketches, chalk, oil pastel, regular pastel, for the charcoal, for pencils, colored pencils or regular pencils. So, for example, this sketch I just recently made by using a Benihana paper bag for takeout food. So I used oil pastel, and if you will spray a sealer on top of it, it's really can be even put in the frame. It's really cheap but awesome support for some of your art projects. And last but not least, I have a box in my hand. I know we can put supplies inside of the box, but no, guys, I cut those boxes into pieces that as big as each flap or each side of the box. I'll show you on this example. So I already cut this out, and cardboard is really sturdy, and it can be used in two different ways in your art room. First, it can be used as a paint palette. You will be surprised, but for the acrylic paint, for tempera paint, those boards are really durable. And when acrylic paint that's been mixed on cardboard paint palettes and it dries, you can squeeze new acrylic paint and reuse those boards again and again and again. And you can even cut out a hole for your thumb. Another way to use cardboard is to use it as support. And I used acrylic paint, and I used wiki sticks to create shapes, and then I painted inside of those shapes with acrylic paint. So did my children, my son, a baseball player, and my daughter, who absolutely adores little dogs. So from the bags and boxes to the art pieces, from the paper inserts to paint palettes, from the containers for the frozen dinner and salads, and to the containers for art supplies. With absolutely no money, you can supply your art studio, your classroom, with wonderful matching containers, boxes, and supports for the masterpieces for you aspiring artists. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. I really thought that this will blend very well with our series of God of Second Chances, as we're giving second chances to the items that are heading toward the dumpster, which reminds us about our life, that God came and rescued us and gave us second chance and new plan for our life, new meaning to our destiny. Have a wonderful day. May God bless you. Bye.